as you all must be aware, LiveLaw is the leading legal news platform in our country. We have over like at least 4 million unique visitors every month, and we have like several lakhs of followers across all social media, Twitter and Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn, and we have several WhatsApp channels as well. So we are LiveLaw is read by lakhs and lakhs of readers, including senior judges, senior advocates, academicians, students, and not just people from legal field, even people outside the legal field also, common people also, laymen also rely upon LiveLaw to get quick updates about legal developments. So I understand that you have been having this session for the past 5-6 days. So you must be aware of some of the basic concepts of legal journalism. So the topic today, which has been given to me, is challenges to face in the field of legal journalism. So as a person who has been handling the role of an editor of a legal portal, so I believe that I can share some of my experiences regarding the challenges faced in the field of legal journalism. So, the concept of legal journalism must be very clear to all of you, since you have been following this course for the past 1 week. So it is basically it's a journalism of legal developments. So you are reporting court hearings, you are reporting the developments in the courts, and also judgments and orders passed by various courts, and also regarding the petitions and other developments, other related legislative developments, such as the bills introduced in the assembly or parliament and the discussion, etc. So everything related to law and judgments and court proceedings we are covering. So legal journalism will encompass all these fields. So the basic idea behind legal journalism is that common people should be able to understand, because courts are dealing with a lot of important matters, and a lot of judgments are pronounced which impact the lives of common people. So people should be aware about what is happening in the courts. So courts and judiciary is not something which should be beyond the approach or beyond the understanding of common people. So they should be able to understand and access it. So our role as a legal journalist is to act as a bridge between the common people and the judiciary. So what the judiciary is trying to convey, we have to translate and we have to break it down for the easy understanding of common people who may not be well versed with the legal jargon and also may not be well versed with the legal proceedings and all the associated technicalities. So how a judgment or how a court proceeding will impact the life of a common man or a common person. So that we have to highlight, that we have to break it down, and we have to convey that message. So this is the function as a legal journalist, and vice versa also. So as I said, like, we are acting as a bridge. So we also convey what the common people feel about the judiciary and what their aspirations are, what their perceptions are. That is also conveyed to the judiciary through the medium of legal journalistic portals. For example, we have in social media, everyone has that opportunity to make a comment about judicial proceedings. Everyone can comment and update. So these comments and the reactions of the public about various court proceedings, that is indicative of, I'm not saying that all these comments are well-informed and judicious and wise comments. Some are ill-informed, half-baked comments, half-baked information, and some are motivated also. But at the same time, it is important to document these responses also, because that gives a reflection about what the public thinks about the judicial system and what their ideals, what their aspirations are about the judicial system. So that is also an indicative approach. So the major challenge which a legal journalist faces is that you should be having I'm not saying that you should be having a very deep scholarly understanding of all subjects of law. That is totally impossible. But at least you should be thorough with the basic concepts of all the fields of law. At least fields of law relating to crimes, for example, like IPC and criminal procedure, etc. Because these are all like matters where there is a lot of public interest: criminal law reporting, constitutional law reporting, and also legislative businesses, etc. So a person who aspires to be a legal journalist should be having a good knowledge of law. That is That is very basic. You should be having a good knowledge of law. You should be having a good knowledge about how things are happening in the courts, what the court proceedings are, what are the different nature of proceedings, what is the hierarchy of courts. So you should be having a basic understanding of these things. I mean, that is very essential. And the second aspect is that, of course, I mean, it's very quite evident, and that it goes without saying that you should be having a good knowledge of, a good grasp our language. And since we are handling in English language, so you should be having a grasp of English language. So you should be able to understand complex judgments and complex legal proceedings and complex the complex manner in which various petitions are drafted. So you should be able to understand these things, and you should be able to write and explain these things in a very simple manner to the readers. So the mastery of our language is important, and of course, and that a sense of news, a sense of what makes news, and sense of what is news, that is also important. Like, for example, every judgment or every court hearing may not be worthy of reporting. Everything may not be of public interest. So that is something, so that is an intuitive skill. So you should be able to identify what is newsworthy and what is not newsworthy. We should be able to draw a line on what should be reported and what should not be reported. So that news sense can be that is cultivated based on your general understanding, your general level of understanding of the politics and the socio-economic situation of country and our state and the society where we are living in. So you should be having a broad understanding of the happenings around and your politics and all other things. So you should be having a fair idea of the going ons. So that is also essential. I mean, you can't be just like a mere bookish knowledge of law. That may not be sufficient, because you should be able to identify and understand how this law or how these proceedings have an impact on the general public. So that understanding should be there. And to cultivate that level of understanding, you should be having a general understanding of what is happening around the current affairs. So that is also necessary. And the most important tool, the most important aspect which a legal journalist should possess is a fair understanding of Constitution, and a deeper. You should be imbibing some of the constitutional principles in your heart, because a journalist's job is not merely to report what is happening. Sometimes you have the duty to highlight the shortcomings in the system also. So that's why journalists or media is known as the fourth estate of a state. So we have three estates: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. These are the three constitutionally recognized estates of the state. But the fourth estate, although it's not constitutionally explicitly stated, but by virtue of its function, media is known as the fourth estate of the state. Because why it is known as the fourth estate? Because it is acting as a check on other wings of the state. So whenever there is any acts of excesses or violations committed by other wings of the state, the media should be highlighting that and exposing that. So that in that sense, media is performing a very vital function. So as far as legal journalists are concerned, we are acting as a check on the institution of judiciary. So wherever there are some shortcomings in the judicial system, we have to highlight that. We have to seek accountability from judges and judicial system. So whenever there are shortcomings, we also have that added duty to highlight them. So it's basically said, you are showing a mirror to those in power, or speaking truth to the power. So that function, that is a very noble function. And to perform that function, one should be able to grasp that constitutional consciousness also, that what is your duty. So that is also a challenging aspect. So these are the broad skills or broad necessary skills which a person who is aspiring to be a legal journalist should be possessing. So another major challenge of legal journalism is that, so as far as live law is concerned, you must have seen that the main USP, the main unique selling point of live law is that we are the fastest and the most accurate legal reporter. So that promptness is also very necessary. So for example, legal developments would be happening in a very quick manner, and a lot of major political and also major social things and social developments get translated into court proceedings as well. So a lot of things, so the courts have now become a very dramatic place, a very eventful place. So a lot of highly eventful things are taking place in court. So one should be able to keep a track of these developments and to report them in a prompt manner also. So at the same time, when when while reporting in a prompt manner, one should not compromise on the quality as well, on accuracy as well. So there should be a fine balance between promptness and accuracy. So to balance that, to maintain that balance is also a very challenging aspect. So that one should be able to cultivate. And another thing is that one should be able to, for example, while reporting a hearing, the judges would be making a lot of observations and queries and comments. So we will be reporting that, but we should not give out an impression that these are the final, these are the observations in the final verdict of the court. So there is always a distinction between some oral remark made by a judge and a final judgment, which is binding. So sometimes, for example, what we often see in the general media is that sometimes the oral comments are sometimes portrayed as the final view of the court. So that tends to mislead the public. So that is one aspect. So that is one area where we should be very careful about. And another area where we should be careful about is that regarding reporting about criminal matters, for example, criminal trials, etc. Because generally what we see in the general media is that the media reporting of criminal trials, they tend to border on a media trial kind of a thing. So in a criminal case, a person is presumed to be innocent until the trial court pronounces that person to be guilty. So that presumption of innocence is there, and the police investigation, ultimately that has to be tested in a court of law on the basis of evidence on record. But sometimes media and general public tend to forget that, and sometimes in sensational cases, the person who has been presented before the court by the police as the accused. So the general public tend to believe that he is the culprit and pronounces him guilty even before the trial is over. So that enthusiasm, that over-enthusiasm sometimes results in the infringement of the rights of the accused and compromises the trial also. So that is also one area where one should be careful about. So I'll just show some of the kind of reporting which Live Law does. I'll do it in the screen sharing thing. When major, for example, over the last 2 months, several important hearings happened in the Supreme Court. For example, in that Article 370 matter or the electoral bonds case, and even the before that, the Shiva Sena, the Maharashtra political crisis case, the Delhi Assembly, the Delhi government versus Union government case. So all these are constitutional bench hearings, even the same-sex marriage case. So all these hearings, so a lot of constitutional bench hearings took place in the Supreme Court over the past few months. So Live Law, we were reporting the court proceedings in a live manner. We were giving live updates of the court proceedings, so all the queries and all the exchanges which are happening between the bar and the bench. So we used to report in a very live manner. And so we could see that from the response of the public. So the public were kind of hooked to these live updates. So we could see that there is a lot of public interest in following the live updates of the hearings also. I'll just show some of the live updates in the screen sharing format so that you can see for yourselves. Yes. Yeah, so this is the live updates which we presented from the Supreme Court on the day when the same-sex marriage case judgment was pronounced. So the judgment pronouncement that went on for a long time, like for at least 2 hours, because there were 4 judgments and all the judges were reading out the summary of the judgment. So we provided the live updates from the judgment pronouncement. So all the judgments were provided here. So this was a lot of so from the public response, we understood that the public really liked this kind of updates, because it was providing quick updates about the court proceedings, and they could really understand what was happening. So likewise, this was about the judgment pronouncement. Even the so this is the recently concluded electoral bonds case in which judgment has been resolved. So in that also, so we provided the live updates from the hearing. So the queries raised by the bench and the responses given by the lawyers, all these are given, and these are all live also, like a live commentary. We are giving the live updates. So even a person who is not present in the courtroom, so even if a person is outside, or like you're traveling or you're waiting for something, you can actually follow these live updates. And so we several persons told us that after reading these live updates, they got the feeling that they were present in the courtroom and they were listening to the arguments in person. So in that dynamic format, we are providing updates. So this is a very challenging task, because you have to keep up with the pace also, and at the same time we can't we can't compromise on the accuracy as well. So if we misreport even one word, the entire meaning can get changed, and it's a court proceedings also, so you can't afford to misreport. So if we misreport, you can even be hauled up for contempt of court. So that's a very highly responsible job, risky also. So that is one aspect. And another area where we report is that we report the judgments, and we decode the ratio of the judgment, and we simplify that, and we present it in a very simplified format for easy understanding of people, because everyone may not be, including busy lawyers, they won't be in a position to read like the full 100 or 200 page Supreme Court judgments. So we compress and we condense the ratio of the judgment, and within like 500 words or something, so that the gist of judgment is available for easy reading. And we report the judgment on the same day the judgments are uploaded. So for example, like in Supreme Court, the judgments get uploaded by evening, by 5:36, etc. So on the same day, or maximum by the next day, we report the judgments. So the latest judgments will be available in live before any other portal. And in some cases, even before the judgment is uploaded, even when the judgment is pronounced in the open court itself, we report that. Because every day morning there will be judgment pronouncements, or so some important judgments, the judges would be orally pronouncing the gist of the judgment. So we report that. And we have also come across cases where lawyers have cited the live law reports about the pronouncement of judgment even before the judgment is uploaded, and these are presented before other courts, the trial courts or other tribunals, etc. They have reported, okay, so for example, there was one land acquisition matter, and there was a judgment which was overruled by the Supreme Court. So we reported that this judgment has been overruled, but the judgment was yet to be uploaded. So one lawyer told us that he cited the live law report before the trial judge. He had a hearing that day, and he cited the live law report, saying that, okay, this judgment, so this was a very widely followed judgment, so this judgment has been overruled, so live law has reported. So he produced that judgment, because the judgment copy was not uploaded yet. So he showed the live law report to the judge, and the judge relied upon that and granted him interim relief. So one lawyer told us that. So this is the level of trust. So even the judge also trusted our report, and he went to the extent of granting relief based on our report, seeing our report, without even before that judgment's fine print was uploaded. So this is the level of trust which we have earned over several years of our reporting. So to maintain this trust, maintain this level of trust and credibility is also one challenge, because people are relying upon our reports, and people are reposing 100% faith on our reports. So we can't afford to make any single mistake or any single error. So a single error can damage your credibility. So that is also another aspect. So I mean, these are the broad things which I had to say.